Alright, so here I am in a new SketchUp file. All I did to get here again is just go to File and then New from Template, and then I chose Architectural Inches. Once you're in here, just get rid of your little person for now, and then you need to import your drawing that you're going to be using. Actually, you don't need to necessarily import it if you have two monitors and you just want to work off the side. But if you have your sketch done and you want to bring it into SketchUp to reference it directly, there's an easy way to do that. So first, if you have a PDF file and you have a program like Adobe Acrobat, you can go up here to the top left and you can just go to File, Export to Image, and then you can choose an image file, so like a JPEG or a PNG. But that Adobe PDF app that I mentioned in the prior video, that will also let you just export out a image file directly from there too. So you can do it either way. But after you have an image file of your sketch, if you go to File and then Import, you can go to your sketch and click on Import, and then you can just plop that into your viewport. So you just click once and then you drag to scale it, and then you click again and it's going to put it directly into your viewport, which is really, really nice. So there's my sketch of my space. So now I'm just going to move this off to the side and I'm just going to start drawing it from a floor plan view. So I'm going to switch to my top-down perspective, and I'm going to switch my camera and take the perspective off of it so that it's totally flat. So go to camera and then switch it from perspective to parallel projection. And now I'm basically just working in a regular floor plan view. So looking at my drawing here, I have two main dimensions. So 12 foot 6.5 inches by 9 foot 1.5 inches. So I'm going to start at my origin, and I'm going to do the first dimension, 12 foot 6.5 inches, and then I'm going to go to the right, 9 foot 1.5 inches, and then complete the rectangle. Hold my shift key to reference that point there, and then finish the rectangle there. Then I'm going to do my wall thickness, so I'm going to use my offset right there. I'll offset this out 5 inches, and then I'm going to delete out that middle surface. Next thing I'm going to do is just grab all this, and I'm going to move it back so that this point right here is on the origin, just so that this is a little bit cleaner. So I'm just going to move that to the origin. And then I'm going to extrude my walls upward so that I get my wall height. Actually, let me think here. Do I want to do that yet? Yeah, all right, I'll just do that. So I'm gonna use my push and pull tool, and then I want to check what my height is. Don't have that written down. I believe it's just 7 foot 10 inches. So I'm gonna extrude this up 7 foot 10 inches, like so. Then I'm going to select all my walls, triple clicking, right click, and I'm going to group those together. And then I'm going to add in a couple layers. So I'm going to do a floor layer, a walls layer, a ceiling layer, and doors, and windows, and furniture. Okay, Next, I'm going to just select my walls, and I'm going to go up here to the top, and where it says tag untagged, I'm going to switch that to walls. And then I'm going to set the walls as my active layer. So I'm going to click once right here in this space to get the pencil onto walls. So that's my active layer. And then I'm going to start drawing in some of these openings. So I have a 1 1/4 inch gap, and that 1 1/4 inch gap that I've put in here actually is to the edge of my casing. And all of my casings are 4 1/4 inch. And I'm actually just going to put my elevation in here as well so I can reference that. So there's my elevation. Put that in just above the plan. So my casing is 4 4.5 inches wide. So that dimension is going 1 foot 4 inches to the edge of my casing, and then I have a 4.5 inch casing, and then I have a 30 inch opening. So I'm going to switch to my X-ray mode by clicking X, and then I'm going to go into my group here. So I'm editing the walls, and now I just want to sort of draw in those dimensions. So I'm just going to start at the face of my wall, and I'm going to go to the left here and type 1 foot 4 inches, and then I'm going to keep going and do my 4.5 inches for my casing. And now this is where my opening is going to start. So I'm just going to intersect this line all the way to the back edge of the wall, and I can even hold my shift key so that I can draw a perfectly straight line and constrain it to this point here. Now it's going to add in some surfaces, and I just need to delete those out because I don't want them. So I want to delete all that out. I just want that line that's in there. Now with this line, my opening is going to be 30 inches. So I can just grab that using my move tool, click my control key, drag to the left 30 inches. And that's going to be where my opening is. My door opening then is going to be 80 inches tall. So using my push and pull tool, I can sort of orbit underneath of the model, and then I'm going to extrude this up by 80 inches, just like that. So there's one. Next I'm going to do this opening here. So again, we have 7.5 inches, and then a 4.5 inch casing, and then a 28 inch opening. So I'm just going to start at this edge of the wall, drag to the left 7.5 inches, and then again 4.5 inches, and I can draw my line through to the back edge of the wall, and then that's going to make a little shape here, and I just want to delete out those lines because I don't need them. Then select my line, move and copy 28 inches, and then again use my push pull, orbit underneath, click on the opening, drag upward, and then do 80 inches as my height. Okay, so I have my 2 door openings. Now I just need to do my 2 window openings. So I have my dimension here, and again, only put the minimum dimensions that you need to build the thing. You don't have to put in every single little dimension. See, in this case, all I needed was how far away is the window from one of these walls. So I just did how far away is this window from this wall to the edge of it. Okay, so for my window now, starting at this wall, I'm going to do my dimension of 4 feet out. Then my casing, 4.5 inches. And then I'm going to draw my line through and just get rid of the extra pieces. So I just have my little line segment right there. Then my window is going to be 32 inches wide. So copy this 32 inches like that. And then I'm going to have to extrude this now and actually make the opening in the wall. So I think the easiest way for me to do this is, one, to look at my elevation. So you can see the bottom of my glass here is 18 1/2 inches. And then the window itself is 5.5 inches tall, or 5 foot 1/2 inches tall. So I'm not going to extrude upward like I did for the doors. I'm just going to start here at this end point and then draw a line up 18.5 inches. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm going to hold my shift key and constrain it to the height of my first line. Then I'm going to connect the two dots. Then I'm just going to delete out my lines down here, just so I have this line here on the wall. Then all I have to do is do my dimension of 5 foot 1/2 inch. So starting at this endpoint, 5 foot 0.5 inches. And then just complete the rectangle like that. Then I'm just going to extrude this to the other face, the outside face, just to make my opening. And then I can just delete my two little lines. Then I just have to do one more window. So this one is 2 foot 6.5 inches. So starting at this edge here, 2 foot 6.5 inches, then 4.5 inches for my casing, and then draw this line all the way through to that back edge. Delete out my line segments that I don't need. Copy this line to the right, 32 inches. And then what I can do, and this is where after you do it once, it gets a lot easier. So I don't have to put in all my dimensions anymore for my windows, since I know they're the exact same size. All I have to do is start my line at my reference point here, start dragging straight up, and then hold my shift key and reference the lines over here, right? So now I know that's the right height. Then I can do another one straight off of it, hold my shift key, reference the top line. Then I can just go across, reference here, go down, reference there, and then finish the square. Then all I got to do is delete out all my little extra lines and use my push-pull to go from inside to the back edge to finish and make that opening. So that didn't really take long at all. You can see very quickly I have all my openings put in there for my walls. So now I can go ahead and close out my wall group because I don't need it right now. And I'm going to turn off my X-ray mode for the time being so we can kind of see what we're working with. And the next thing I'm going to do is add in my floor. So for my floor, that's very simple. We're just going to switch to our floor layer. Then we're going to use the rectangle. And we're going to go from one corner to another. And then I'm going to extrude this down. And I'm just going to do 5 inches just to make everything consistent. So it's just going to be the same thickness as the walls. It doesn't really matter. So 5 inches is fine. And then I want to group all this. So triple click on it, right click, make group. Again, I'm going to stress this so many times. Always, 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 always group things. Okay? If I open your models and I see that you have things in there and they are not in a group, they're just plain geometry. So if I can click on something and see these dots across the surface, you're going to lose points. Okay? It has to be in a group. So I have to select it after I make it and make it a group so that it looks like that. And that's just the proper way to do things in SketchUp. You always have to make it a group after you model it. So every single time, get in the habit. triple click on it, right click, make group. It's that easy. And that's, again, just going to keep your geometry separate, right? Because in here, everything is a surface. In Revit, everything is either a wall or a door or a window, because Revit knows that. In here, SketchUp doesn't know what anything is, and it just thinks everything is a surface. So you're going to have to stay very organized and keep things tidy. And that's why we use groups. So then you have to select the group and make sure you scroll up under Entity Info and switch that to the correct layer. So this is going to be my floor. And you just want to test that everything works correctly by toggling these layers on and off. So you cannot turn off the active layer, so you're going to have to switch to a different layer, and then you can toggle on and off and make sure that those layers are working correctly, which they are. Okay. So now I can do the ceiling, and the ceiling is, spoiler, so easy now that I did the floor. So if I click on my floor, I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to copy it from the bottom up to here, and boom, I have my ceiling. I'm just going to select it now, and I'm going to switch its layer to ceiling, and I'm just going to turn ceiling off. Okay, so ceiling's done, super easy. Then what I got to do is worry about my doors and stuff. So I'm not going to do my furniture in this video or anything. I'm going to let you guys figure out the furniture, which in some cases you might need to model it. If you can find something pretty close in the 3D warehouse to the furniture that you have in the space, just use that. But if it's something that's easy enough to model, like my desk here that I'm sitting at is really simple, and I could easily just model that. It's just a U-shaped desk that wraps around from here to there to there. I could do that super easy just in the model, but if I were to find something in the 3D warehouse already made, I'm just going to use that. All right, so I'm going to let you do that, but I'm going to do my doors and windows now. And the doors and windows, those are going to start with the casings. So I'm going to start by modeling the casings for my doors. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let me think here. I'm just going to start drawing on top of my my wall. So trying to think if there's a better way to do this. Okay, so I'm going to show you just another technique of something that we can do. So I'm going to double click inside of my my group here for my walls. And something that we can do is we can group different layers together sort of within the model. So if you think about your trim and stuff, that's kind of part of the wall technically, because it's attached to the wall. You could associate with the door as well. So one way to do this would be to tie all your trim in with the door family or the door component. And another way to do it would be to tie it in with the wall. I'm trying to think of the best way. I'm just going to show you what I mean, but then I'm going to show you the other way to do it. So for example, I can go in here and within my group, so I'm going to hide this. I'm going to click my H key to hide everything else. Within my group of my walls, I'm going to again triple click everything and make another group. So now I have a group inside a group. Now that I have that isolated, what I can do is start drawing on top of it. So I could go in here and draw my casing in. So I'm going to draw 4.5 inches wide. And then I'm going to draw it straight up until I get to that top point there. And then I'm going to go to the left 0.5 inches for my overhang. And then again up 4.5 inches. And then I'm going to go to the right until I hit this edge here, and I'm just going to click once and then again go 0.5 inches from my overhang, and then go down in a straight line. Oh shoot, I need to move these to the left, so those have to be out 4.5 inches to be there. Now what I can do is at the bottom here go 4.5 inches, drag up until I get even with that, and then finish that line right there. Okay, now I'm going to select all these line segments, right click, and I'm going to group those. So now I have a group. I have two groups within a single group. So if I back all the way out here, right, I have this group for my walls, and I go into that group, and then I have a group for my walls and a group for my casing. Then I can go inside my casing group, and I can continue modeling there. So I can finish this off now. Like that, and then extrude this out by 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to just erase that, and I'm going to put a little line in here just to kind of differentiate these boards a little bit. Okay, but as you can see, I have my trim, and my trim is now a part of the wall. They're separate because I can still individually select them, and that's why you got to group things, because if I did not group them, now basically all this trim is just a part of the wall and they don't act individually. But now I can like move this wherever I want it to go, and it's its own thing. So you want to always group things, and that's one way to do it. So you could do all of your trim around the doors and windows and the baseboards and stuff like that, crown moldings, all of that. You could do it like I did it here. Another way, and maybe a better way, is to do it within the actual door component itself. So now that I have this modeled, I'm just going to, oh, and also while I'm here, I can create another layer and call this moldings and put this casing on the moldings layer. And now if I back out of this, I can turn the moldings on and off, but since it's within the doors, since it's within this doors group that is on walls, if I turn off walls, it's gonna turn all of that off. See what I mean? So I can individually control that because it's on a moldings layer within the group. But since the entire group itself is on the walls layer, I can turn everything off at one time, like that. Okay, so that's kind of like the handiness of grouping things. And that's kind of like nesting. All right, so if you think back to nested components within Revit, I'm kind of nesting the casings within the walls. Okay. So another way to do this, which might be a little bit better, and it's all really up to personal preference, is to just make this a part of the door component itself. So I'm going to hop over to the 3D warehouse and see if they have a door like the ones that I have first before I try to model something. So I'm going to type in 5-panel door. Okay, perfect. This is exactly what I have in my house. So I'm going to download that. And this is a manufacturer's model. So True Style, that's a legit brand. And that's manufactured, or this model was made by True Style. So I know that I can trust it, and it's probably going to be pretty high quality and have parameters built into it so I can change the size and stuff. So I'm going to load that directly into my project. Perfect. So there's my door, and I'm going to move this place it right at that intersection between the wall and the casing. Once it's there, I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to switch to my X-ray mode so I can see through it to see that point. And I'm going to rotate this so that it's in the correct orientation. Oops, not my wall, so I'm going to rotate my door. Like that. And then I should be able to select this, and hopefully it has parameters built into it. So if I go to edit and then component, dynamic components, component options. Cool. So like I said, this is an intelligent component, and the manufacturer has put in parameters so I can resize this however I want. So I want this to be an 80-inch tall door by 32 inches wide. And then they even have materials in here too. So I'm going to see what the wood looks like. And apply. And cool. So yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I'm going to switch this back to paint. But then this is cool because you can also adjust these different options that they have for like the panels and stuff. Yeah, but I'm just going to leave it what it was because that's basically what's in my house is what they had in here from the start. Cool. So now that I have that, I need to figure out why this is too wide. Oh, it's a 30-inch door, not a 32-inch door. So again, I'm going to go back to edit component, dynamic components, component options, and set that to 30 inches. Just like that. And then apply. And then, okay, close. Cool. So we now have sort of our door in with our casing. So now that I have this, what I can do is double click in here, and I'm gonna cut this out. So Control X to cut that out. And then I'm going to go within my my door here, and I'm going to double click inside, and I'm going to paste in place to paste that within. So now it is actually a part of the door family itself, okay, or the door component. So these will move together. So now what I can do is use my move tool and click X to see X-ray so that I can get to my point here, the intersection of the wall. And I'm going to copy this over to this opening and rotate. Just like that. And now this one was a narrower door. So what I need to do so that I don't mess up the other door is right click and choose Make Unique. Then I'm going to double click inside this component. I'm going to click on my door, go to Edit, Component, Dynamic Components, Component Options. Oops, need to back out of that. Edit, I need to do it from here. Edit, Component, Dynamic Component, Component Options. Set this now to 28 inches wide. Click Apply. The door should shrink. just like that. Still loading. Okay, so my Sketchup ended up crashing. The great news is Sketchup will actually recover your files if they crash. So when you close out of the application after it crashes, if you go back in and open it, on the home screen, it should have a recovery file. So if that happens to you at any point while you're working in SketchUp, it should save a backup for you. Now the reason it crashed was because I think I did this a little bit wrong. So I'm going to redo the last step again, but this time I'm going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to click on my door, and then I'm going to, no, actually I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to grab my trim again. I'm going to cut that out. Then I'm going to double click into my door component, and I'm going to, within here, group all this stuff together. Let's see. Okay, so that is a component. So this might not work then. Component. So I'm just going to have to paste this back in, and then just group the two of these together and not make the trim a part of the component. So I'm just going to make it a group like that, and then use my move tool and switch to my X-ray mode, copy this over to here, rotate like that, and then I gotta zoom out. Whoa, it's going crazy on me. All right. Then to update the size of the store, I just need to go into the group. So double click and then click on the door, right click on it, no, I did not want to explode that. Right click on it, make unique to make it independent of the other door, and then edit component, dynamic components, component options. And then switch this to 28 inches. Click apply. And then hopefully it doesn't break on me. Okay, so that worked. Then I can just grab my trim, so double click inside my trim family, and then what I can do is just highlight half of this, so this right side like that, and then click H to bring back my hidden geometry, and then use my move tool and move that edge in to where it needs to be, like that. And then click escape a couple times to back out. So there we go. So you can either group the trim inside the wall, or you can group it to the door, which might be a little bit easier for copying things around, because then you don't have to like remake it every time. So there's the doors. And I'm going to save this really quick so that nothing bad happens. Okay, then I'm just going to do the windows and the baseboard. So for these windows, I'm going to start by copying my trim. So I'm going to double click on my family, grab my trim again, and copy that. Then I'm going to back out so that I'm back just in the main model. Then I'm going to paste that back in, so Control V, and I'm going to align it in front of my window right there. Then I'm just going to use my move tool, and I'm going to get this where it needs to be. So I'm going to move this straight back, and then I'm going to align one of the sides. So I'm going to use my move tool right here at this intersection, and then move it to the left so that it aligns with that side there. then I'm just going to have to double click inside of here in my group, select this half, and move this half to the right till it hits that side right there. Then all I have to do is hit my H, and I'm going to select just the bottoms now. So if you just create a window and only select the bottom pieces, if you do it from left to right, it's only going to get these bottom edges. You can use your move tool and start moving this straight up and then show the rest of the model. And another cool thing to show you while I'm doing this is instead of holding shift, so if I get it started in a direction, I can hold shift to lock it to that direction. But if you have it off here, going diagonally, if you use your arrow keys, you can lock it permanently to a direction. So if I click the up arrow key, it's going to lock it to that direction without me even needing to hold the shift key. So you can see now I can just go vertically without worrying about it. If I click my other keys, it's going to lock it to those other planes. So that's a really, really good way to do it. Now with it locked going vertically, I can just reference the height of this surface. So if I hover over that surface and click, it's just going to make it the same height as that surface, which is really, really handy. So now I have that trim in where I need it to go. And all I have to do is kind of finish off the rest of the trim. So there's going to be a windowsill here. So I'm going to, again, isolate this. And I'm going to draw in my sill. So I'm going to group... I'm going to group all of these lines together, all these pieces. So make group. And then I'm going to add my lines to this backside too because it got rotated around. So we'll just put lines right there. So make all that. So that's all a group now. Let's see. That's a group and then that's a group. Okay, like I need to. Now I'm going to add in my sill. So I'm going to do a rectangle, turn on my X to see through my casing. So I'm going to do a rectangle from there to there. And then I'm going to extrude this down 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and then I'm going to extrude this out to the right 2 inches on either end to get my little overhang. And then I'm going to extrude this forward we'll do 2 inches as well, forward. And there's my windowsill. So then I'm just going to turn that into a group for the windowsill. And then I got to put my apron piece, which is the piece of casing that runs along the bottom. So for this, I'm going to rotate around to the back side here. And I'm just going to, again, turn off my X-ray. So I'm going to reference this line and then just by hovering my cursor over it, drag straight down to get a spot directly below that. And then I'm going to click and then draw down 4.5 inches. And then I'm going to go to the right and I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to reference that point there. Drag straight up, click again, and then complete that shape. Then I'm just going to extrude this with the push and pull out even with this surface. So just hover over the surface and then click once and it's going to make it the same thickness. Then I can just triple click all those pieces and make those a group. Okay, so then that is the window casing. Then this can just be copied over and placed in front of this window here. So use my move, copy, click on this point here, rotate, click my up arrow key to get that being the flat plane, and then rotate that around 90 degrees, just like that. Okay, cool. So then the final thing I'm going to do in this video is put in the windows. So again, I'm going to hop over to the 3D warehouse. And I'm going to search for, so they actually have some Sketchup windows, which is nice. So you could use this you could just go to SketchUp Labs here. You could search for SketchUp Labs, and SketchUp has a bunch of pre-made components themselves that are all dynamic. So if you just want to use these components, that's probably going to be a really easy way to do it. Just go in here and then look at the different families or components that SketchUp Labs has made, and they're going to have a bunch of like dynamic stuff you can pull. If you go in here and go to like models, you can look at every single thing that they've made. So they got all kinds of stuff. So that might be one of your best resources for completing this assignment, is just going in here, and you're going to know it's dynamic by that little icon there. But anyway, I'm going to search for Pella because I know I like their stuff, and that usually works pretty well. Oh, okay. So the dynamic components have this green icon. So I'm not quite sure what live component means. Huh, that's interesting. That might be a new thing. But yeah, if it has this green icon, it's going to have parameters that you can mess around with. So look for that whenever you're finding a family. So I want to get one of these double hung windows. It probably doesn't really matter which one I choose. So I'm just going to, let's go for this one here. Load that in, and then I'm going to pop that in just roughly in its position and then rotate it. And let me think here. Rotate that around, and I'm thinking it's going to expand from left to right, so I'm going to actually align this edge here to there. And now that I have that, I'm going to go to Edit, Component, Dynamic Components again, and Component Options, which, oh, there it is. So that stayed popped up. So now I need to adjust this sizing. So the height that I had was 5'0.5 inches. I got to switch this to be custom. Okay, 5'0.5 inches by 32 inches. And then I'm just gonna have to move this back to where it needs to go and then check it. So the width looks good. The height is a little bit off. Okay, so the height is correct. I just have to adjust my casing, which actually these should all be in the same position height-wise, so I'm going to adjust my opening a little bit. So I'm just going to go into here and then click on my wall and then adjust my opening so that my opening aligns with that one. And I'm going to do that for both. Just align them to each other. Now that I've done that, I need to see what that distance is. 1 inch. So I just have to make this 1 inch higher. Edit, component, component options. So I have to make this 61.5. Like that. And then I'm just going to, oh geez. Okay, then I'm just going to turn off the grills because I do not have grills on mine. And that looks good. So then I'm just going to copy this And I'm going to rotate this around like that. And that looks good. All right, so that stuff is all done. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. So basically on your own, your goal for this week is to basically get to this point. Now you don't have to have the full thing modeled, and I want you to include your furniture in here too. So I want you to start putting that stuff in as well. But it doesn't have to all be modeled by the end of this week, because this is all going to be due by the end of next week. Okay, so really your main goal for the week is to get your sketches done. So I want you to create a couple sketches like the ones that I have here, make them PDF files, and do the whole import thing, bring them in here so you can reference them while you're modeling. And then just do what I did here. You're going to create all the layers that I made, make your walls, doors, windows, ceilings, floors, all that kind of stuff. And then between this week and the end of next week, you just want to have all this modeled and throw in a few pieces of furniture for whatever is in your room that you're going to be doing. All right. So I'm going to leave it there. Next week, in the videos that I'm putting out next week, I'm probably just going to go with this a little bit further and show you a little bit more of this process that I'm doing on my end, just to show you just more the way that I work to kind of further help you out. But yeah, it's pretty much going to be this through the end of next week.